Hello everyone, this is Sarah Lynn, and today I have an unboxing video for you as well as a comparison. So today I received the new Rider Waite Smith edition of the 7-Sphere Tarot from Labyrinthos. And earlier, last year I suppose, back in December, I had picked up Tina Gong's book Tarot, which came with a version of that 7th Sphere deck. So we're going to be comparing the two and just taking a look at this beautiful deck. After using the Wines and Noble version a couple times, I just knew I had to go and buy the full deck, so I did, and I got really lucky and I bought it right as it was being distributed because this is brand new. I was actually supposed to have it on Saturday, but it was delayed. So we can see there's this beautiful box with some lilies on it and crystals, and it's got the 7th Sphere with this holographic embossing on it. That continues around on the sides. The top and the bottom are plain. On the back here we have some examples. We have the Fool, Death, and the Knight of Swords. The Death card is actually my favorite. There you go. So let's check this out. It's in this nice metallic box. Beautiful color. What heaven dreams, the earth brings forth. You blaze in the sun, glimmer in the stars, and dance in the rhythm of creation. And they've got their app here. And then here is a little booklet. Oh, very simple, quick meanings for all the cards, it looks like. Just some keywords, upright and reverse for all the cards. And if you go online or use their app, you can get much more detailed explanation of the cards. So let's go ahead and get into the cards themselves. There we go. So this has this beautiful blue gilding, and I was a little worried about this because it seemed a little dark for this set, but seeing it in person is just gorgeous. Okay. So this is going to be very similar and have a lot of the same artwork as the their Marcel's version. Okay, one moment. Sorry about that. My kitten was throwing a tantrum in the background. You might still hear her, but here is the full card, and it has that beautiful embossing, the holographic that kind of matches the sides here. And I believe that's going to be on each card. So I'm just going to do a quick flip through. Very interesting imagery. I really like how they do humans in this deck. And here they have the Hierophant labeled as the High Priest. Really love this Lover's card, the atmosphere and everything of it, showing that yin and yang. Really cool hermit card. Got the hermits in white. This is my favorite card, Death, with the beautiful lilies showing that rebirth aspect and his shroud. Devil card. Very interesting take on the Tower. I like that it's a crab on this one instead of a lobster. On the Moon, being I'm a Cancer, and I know sometimes the lobster can be interchangeable with the crab, but I prefer the crab. Here is the sun, which again has those beautiful lilies. And I love the hands around the moon there. Judgment is very interesting. I've only used this deck a couple times and I haven't really looked into why she used the different imagery, but it's interesting that that skull's there with the moth. The world card is gorgeous. And then, oh, I didn't know about this one because it's not in the Barnes & Noble version, but it looks like they added an extra card, Return, and Tree of Life. Okay, moving on to the minor arcana. What I really liked about this deck was that the major arcana all have fleshed out human faces, but then the minor arcana, they're all shadow people, so you can really self-insert depending on your reading. Gorgeous imagery. I love the color coding. You will notice like that the king and the queen are the same figures on the different cards, just with different items and backgrounds. And they went for the full image on the aces with no lettering underneath. And here they have the numbers very small in the corner, kind of like playing cards. So this is already pretty different from the Barnes & Noble version, just in terms of labeling, but otherwise it's the same imagery. But of course you get that beautiful embossing. On the minor arcana it looks like it just is the numbers, but on the major arcana you can see it a lot more. Oh, and the stars in this too. Oh, I love the rainbow here. Very interesting 10 of Wands. I always find it interesting too how they box these, and it looks like, you know, they do the court cards first and then the rest of the minor arcana, and it's always interesting to see what suit comes up first. So you can see very similar figures, but without the beard and facial hair. Put it aside so I can show you. Oh, that one's beautiful. Very similar to the Lover's card. This one's really interesting with the figures getting lighter as they get further away. Really love how easy this one is to read. Although the imagery is very minimalistic, it's still very, it still has a lot of meaning and emotion to it. I love this 10 of Cups too. The Page of Swords. I like the dark, moody colors on the swords. So here you can see it's essentially the same figure, just with slight changes. Very nice Ace of Swords. Showing that choice there. And the 2 of Swords. Very simple 3 of Swords, but that's not always a bad thing. Just find it interesting which decks decide to do something more with that imagery and which stay with that just basic imagery. The Journey. The Thief. Constraint. Despair. Very lovely deck. Very rich colors, but they're kind of softer and more subdued, but still, well, maybe vibrant isn't the right word, but just lively. Really love the aces of this deck. Showing that collaboration. Feeling left out in the cold. That wealth doesn't always trickle down. All right. Oh, this one was upside down. There is the whole set. Really beautiful. Love this deck. So now that we've seen it, I'm not going to shuffle it just because of the way my camera setup is, but it's very thick cardstock. Very beautiful quality. I will point out, let me see here, the backs. We'll take a look at those for comparison when we switch over to the other deck. I will be right back with that. So here is the set that comes from Barnes & Noble. You get Tina Gong's tarot book. I haven't fully read through this yet, but it has a lot of great meanings for each of the cards, different ways to use the cards, and it also has these quick references right here. And one thing I really like about this book, let me see if I can find an example. I always find them when I'm not looking. Okay, so it has examples of real life readings and how they were interpreted, which I think is really cool. There's that. And then attached on the back is this. And don't be like me. So I did not realize that it was a set because somebody had pulled this off the back page of the book. So I ended up being double charged for this. So make sure that if you pick up the book, you get the deck as well from Barnes & Noble. So let me pull the deck out. Okay, so it comes in this packaging like this, with the two halves of the decks separated out and wrapped up in these little paper things. I've used this deck a few times. I've only used it to read twice, but I've looked through it multiple times and these have held up pretty well. This is probably a deck that you're going to want to either buy a bag or a box or a wrap or something for. So I'm only going to grab half of this here since, like I said, they're all the same cards, but we'll take a look at the difference between the two. So here is the size difference. It looks like the official deck is a little bit smaller. It's also borderless and the colors are richer because it's on a better cardstock. And as you can see, this has the holographic elements to it. One thing I do like better about this deck is the backing. I kind of like this more patterned backing, although this is nice too. I just wish they had done a little bit more. It's a little too plain. This one I really liked the full pattern. I feel if they'd done like maybe little stars in each of the corners, maybe just to fill it out a bit, or some more of these stars, more of those little holographic stars like you see on the aces, that would have been nice. So the big difference is going to be the cardstock. You can see there, this is very flimsy, which is why I wanted to go ahead and get the full deck because I love the imagery so much, but I was worried about using these cards. And obviously this has the gilding on the edge, and this is just simple cardstock that's white on the edges. So it's not the worst quality, but it's definitely a lot more flimsy. If you like to riffle shuffle, this might not hold up as long. I like to hand over hand shuffle, but even that, can damage the cards. There's no holographic, there's no gilding, but the main difference is the price point. So this deck with the book, this big massive book, altogether is $25. I don't remember how much the book is by itself if you get it from Labyrinthos website, but if you are lucky enough to find it at the Barnes & Noble, you get, the cheaper version of the deck and the book for $25, whereas the official 7th Sphere deck with the gilding and everything in the magnetic box is $50, or at least it was $50 when I bought it. That's quite pricey for a deck, in my opinion. That's a little more than I typically like to spend. I like to stay under $30, but for certain decks, you know, I really find it's worth it. I definitely think the quality is here to explain the price. Do I think a company as big as Labyrinthos should be charging indie prices? I don't know. Maybe Labyrinthos just seems like a bigger company because they have their own website and an app and everything, but you know, it's kind of weird to see Labyrinthos charging the same price as, say, an independent artist on Etsy or through Kickstarter. But like I said, the quality is definitely here. I love that they included the holographic on the actual cards themselves. I do wish they had spruced up the backs a little more. Maybe they just wanted to draw all the attention to the front of the cards. I'm going to try and find an ace to show you the difference. Of course, this is out of order because I've been using it. There we go. So here's the Ace of Swords. One moment. Okay, I wanted to save you the pain of me shuffling through the other deck. So here's the difference between the Ace cards. You know, this doesn't have any words or numbers or anything on it, whereas this one does because it has that border. So you do get to see the image a little bit clearer because it is larger. Even though these cards are larger, the image on this gets a lot more space on the cards than on here. So I think really it just comes down to you and how you tend to use your decks. I definitely think this is worth it. If you're going to splurge and buy a really high quality deck, I would recommend this one. It's beautiful, a lot of colors and imagery and emotion here, really easy to read. Like I said, the book isn't very comprehensive that comes with it, but that's because they have all this available for free on their website and on their app. The app's really cool because you can pull different spreads and it's actually set up for learning. So it'll take you through different the different meanings of the different cards. It'll go through the minor arcana and the major arcana. I'm just gonna keep showing you the deck at random. So yeah, I do recommend their app. This video is not sponsored. I bought all this by myself and I, you know, used their deck before used their app before I got the deck. That holo is just gorgeous. So yeah, it really comes down, I think, to what you're looking for. I wanted a really nice quality deck that was going to last a long time, and I knew I really liked the imagery on these cards, and I already connected to it. So I wanted to get the full deck because it was worth it for me. The box is really nice. I don't always use boxes. I do like to make my own mats and wraps for them. Here is one of my wraps. I put them up on Etsy when I make them, when I'm not making them for myself, but I like to wrap my decks instead of leaving them in the boxes. It makes them a little more accessible, I think, although it depends on how nice the box is. With something like this, it's pretty comparable. You know, this is going to keep it pretty safe, just about as safe as a wrap is. Wraps are nice because you can paint sigils on them, so you can give them the intention to protect your deck or to cleanse your deck or to keep it free of outside influence, you know, depending on what you're using your deck for. If you want to connect with your higher self, you know, you can use the wrap to use sigils that will help the deck do that for you. All right, back to the seventh sphere. So it depends if you want a really high quality cardstock that's going to last you a long while, if you care about bling, if you have the $50 to spend, and you don't mind going online for your interpretations and meanings of the different cards, especially since they added the 2 extra cards. I would have liked to see that in here. I don't know if those are on their website or not. Let me see if that's under the major arcana. I'd already forgotten about them. That's the other thing you're getting in here, is you're getting those 2 extra cards, which are not on here. Interesting. Those do not come in the Barnes & Noble edition. That is exclusive to this deck. Oh, here we go. That's interesting. Okay, if you're wondering what they were for, like I was. So, you know, if you're willing to go online and look all that information and not have it at your fingertips without having to buy a separate book, then I think it's a very good deck. If you're just starting out and you're gentle with your cards, if you like borders or card customizing, this might be a good deck for you. And the main benefit, I think, of the Barnes & Noble edition is that it comes with the book, which I think on its own is worth the price. Because it has all the meanings of all the different cards. It has a lot of different spreads. Has how to read cards. Talks about reversals, the different archetypes of the cards. It's just very comprehensive. Has a little bit of history. It's a very good book, I think. I have a couple other tarot books as well that I check in with, but I'm really glad to have added this to my collection to look through when I need help with interpreting my readings. So there you go. You guys let me know down below if you'd like which version of the deck you would prefer. Would you prefer to have the cheaper version that comes with the book? Again, a really great deal. Or would you be willing to put out the extra cash to get the really nice, high quality, long-lasting deck with the gilding and everything? I'm absolutely happy with my decision to upgrade to this one. I will most likely be giving this version away. I don't know if I'll be doing that here in a Discord server or just giving it to my roommate. I haven't really decided yet, but I will probably give this version away since I have the full version now. But I'll keep you guys updated on that. But let me know what you guys think. I think this is an absolutely gorgeous deck. I love the imagery. And I'm really happy to have gotten both versions and to have experienced both versions. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember to stay magical and have a great day and a new year.